Math enthusiast. Finally, a sport for you. It is called Mathletics. Here now to tell us more about it is Rick Vender. He's the Mentorship Director for the York Chapter of Professional Engineers in Ontario. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
A sport I would not compete in or bother with because I would get crushed. For people at home, though, the importance of learning math at an early age, what is the impact, especially looking at your life and how successful you are?
What we're trying to do, basically, it's been identified by educators that although our schools in North America do a wonderful job of teaching math and science, they do a very poor job of teaching engineering and technology. And what we're trying to do is bridge that gap. So we put on events every year. We have a few events every year. Mathletics is one of them, where we go to the schools, we get kids involved with solving problems we give them engineering principles in Mathletics, for example, and then we get them to solve the problems in math. And it's a competition, and we have prizes at the end of the day.
Now, I just wanted to kind of simplify it, because when you talk about engineering, people don't necessarily understand what that means. Would it mean like using day-to-day things, such as I was saying to you, painting a room? How much paint do you need?
Well, that's a good example of a very simple engineering calculation. As engineers, we do that all the time. We decide how much brick to buy for a building, how many lights we need. Those are all part of the calculations we need to do. So picking the amount of paint you need is one of those calculations. So one example would be in the Mathletics event would be we're painting a room. This is the size. Paint is sold by the 4-liter can. How many liters do we need, or how many cans do we need to buy? That sort of thing. So we give them the formula, and then we let them go ahead and solve the problem. The first one to get the answer, we have answers. We got time factors. It's quite
Does
cool.
anyone like slime you if you get it wrong, or it's pretty chill?
You know, if we bring you, Jeff, I'm sure you'll do a great job.
I think we should bring
and
you
you
in.
can slime him.
We can slime him.
It would bring on
And you bring
more
the
participants.
paint, by the way.
I'll bring the paint.
So, as an engineer, you understand the importance of mathematics, and specifically engineering mathematics. Most kids, after grade 10, stop taking math essentials.
It's unfortunate, because I've been an engineer for many years. I've really enjoyed my profession. I've done a lot of different interesting things. I used to be, at one time, I was a designer of products. I enjoyed that immensely. I can drive around and actually see some of the products I design. So I love it. The mathematic parts, depending on the type of engineer you become, can be extensive or it can be quite little, actually. When the work I did, the amount of mathematics I had to do was not all that extensive. It was, you do a few basic equations, you solve them, use it on a day-to-day basis in a very minor form, and then you go ahead and you design your product, you take it to market, and hopefully you sell them and you drive around looking at them all the time. It's great.
People often think of mathematics as something very linear or science, right? That it is just these calculations, but really everything we do in life is affected by it. So how do you bring passion to young students that these things are applicable?
Well, this is what we do in our events, is we sort of tie the mathematics to the applied science, which really engineering is. It's an applied science. We have scientific principles, we apply them, and then we take it to an actual device usually, or a system, something like that. And that's what we're trying to encourage the kids. Kids, a lot of times they don't have mentors, they don't have role models to help them through their career choices. And unfortunately, sometimes they don't make the best career choices. I know of people that I felt would have been very talented engineers and turned out to take something else and became very mediocre at that. So this is why we're trying to find the kids, bring them in. If your parents weren't engineers, your cousins, your friends, or your friends of parents weren't engineers, good chance you're not going to know much about it. There's very few engineers in the school systems, in the elementary and secondary school systems. So this is a way to sort of bring the concept to the kids.
Yeah, now explain a couple things to me. First of all, is it a team atmosphere, or are you flying solo working on the math?
On this particular event, it's a solo event, but then we have the design competition that we do during Engineering Month. I believe it's April, and we actually have teams. We have teams from the schools. They come in and we tell them what they're going to need to design. We give them a few principles. We give them a bunch of tools and materials, and we let them go at it, and then we judge it later.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm an advocate for sports in general is I believe it creates problem solving, team building, and leadership. So having all three in an educational form, was that the sort of platform you guys were initially looking at?
Well, No, we're really trying to get the kids into that, but certainly there's a leadership element to engineering. There's teamwork element to engineering. Very few engineers work as solo. They have to work with CAD operators. They have to work with management. They have to work with sales. They have to work with other professions. For example, fellows who design, or ladies too, that design medical equipment.
Yep.
They have to work with doctors. I mean, there's a lot of interaction basically on whatever you're working on.
Okay, so what grades? How old are the kids that are competing?
Well,
and how do they get involved?
It's grade 5 and 6 is the junior level, and we do questions, give them questions that's in part of the Ontario curriculum, and that's one group. That's called the juniors, and then, as I just said, and then there's the senior group, which is 7 and 8.
Okay, so between grade 5 to 8, creating healthy competition. And so this is part of the York Region District School Board and the York Catholic School Board?
And separate schools,
and
any other private schools. Any private schools.
So how do you get involved? How do you enter?
The best way would be to go on our website at peoyork.com, and you'll see it right on the front page. The Mathletics, you can join up right there. So anybody in those grades can actually sign up. Today we do have spots left. We'll have 90 participants, and we'll basically have room at our facility.
Okay, so but most importantly, what can they win?
What can they win? Well,
Cash?
we're still working on that.
Cash. Get some cash.
We have cash coming.
Okay,
Well.
good. That's all anyone cares about is cash.
And what the prizes are. So peoyork.com to enter the contest and get some more information. We'll be right back with more chit chat from Jeff and I.